What the 12 steps does is it takes you from a state of unawareness to a state of awareness, a state of unconsciousness to a state of consciousness. In my own life, this is how it hit me, the way that the 12 steps hits most people that work it. I was in a rock bottom state of absolute desperation, a heroin addict, a crack addict, an alcoholic. Every aspect of my behavior was problematic. It was clear that I needed intervention. A curious thing that I'll mention at this early stage of the journey that we're on together is that what I was looking for, curiously, and this is not something that I'd have been able to appreciate it if you would have plainly told me. What I was looking for was an awakening, a spiritual connection. Seems like an odd way to look for a spiritual awakening and connection, sitting around in doorways, doing smack, hitting up the Martell bottle, pipe hitting, boozing, whoring. Seems like an odd way to look for God, to look for oneness. And indeed it is. But the reason the 12 steps works, and the reason that I believe it was discovered in relation to substance misuse and alcohol misuse, is because when we form an attachment to an object, whether that's a physical object or a kind of a neurological compound suspended in our own mind, meaning, I suppose, that my relationship with my work is an object, my relationship with my wife can become an object in my mind. If that relationship is not conscious, aware and functional, it has the potential to cause me pain. And often, and this is a curious thing, which I believe is where the universality of the 12 steps comes into its own, is I nominate external things to be salvation, to redeem me, to make me feel better about myself. Now that is, that's clear and obvious when we're dealing with drugs and alcohol. So it's no coincidence that the 12 steps was devised and conceived around alcohol, because when a person's got an attachment to drugs and alcohol, the consequences are obvious, the behaviors are observable, it's a clear and evident problem. The way that this program functions mechanically is that instead of regarding a problem in your life as a sort of a sign of deterioration or a wound, it becomes a point of initiation and inauguration. It's a kind of, we make a mental translation. Rather than seeing a problem as like a deficit or a wound, we see it instead as an invitation. How that functions for me is, as soon as I'm like agitated, discontent, irritated or afraid, I don't see that as like something erroneous or something that's gone wrong with me. I see it as a signal, something that I need to read. So like when you're excessively drinking or you're excessively taking drugs or you're looking at a lot of porn or you're spending a lot of money, the fuel behind it is a craving, a yearning, a desire to acquire, a forging of an attachment to external phenomena to ameliorate an inner malady. And the relationship between the identification of this problem and a spiritual experience is like almost a total one. It can be difficult to see alcoholism or endless spending or obsessive watching as pornography as a hankering after a spiritual experience, but in a very obvious way, what you're trying to do is make yourself feel better, and that is a spiritual issue. The function of spirituality is to amend the way that you feel, is to address a kind of a disalignment, a disjunct between your inner and outer lives. So once you've admitted, I'm not happy in my marriage, I'm not happy in my work, or whatever it is, once you've admitted this is a problem for me, that's an opportunity for an inhalation and a moment of reflection. I've got a problem. It's like a lot of people won't do that. Have you noticed that in your own life? A lot of people are like, no, I'm very happy. I'm happy in this relationship. I'm happy in this job. I'm happy drinking. I'm happy continually getting in fights. Well, the 12 steps as a point of initiation does require an honest appraisal. Without that, obviously you can't proceed or progress because you're not open to the possibility of change.